Back for another edition of In the Huddle, Carl Dukes. Put him up along with my man Jason Lock-on Thor. Baldy, a part of this podcast as well. Guys, week 1 is in the books, and we have a lot to discuss. This is In the Huddle. Follow us in the Huddle Pod on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Tell your friends. We talk ball each and every week. And Jason, I want to start with Monday night because we're recording this on Tuesday. Everybody was anticipating the debut and, what Aaron Rodgers is going to look like. So I want to start there. I thought it started well, but this is what we know, right? The 49ers are a juggernaut, even without Christian McCaffrey. And they're going to be a problem all season long for a lot of teams. But I did feel like Aaron Rodgers looked halfway decent. That, everybody wonders what the rust was going to be. And I think playing that defense and their ability to get after you like they can certainly affected things. But Rodgers looked okay to me. What about you?
I guess it depends what you think you're getting. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. The only two prop bets I made on the Jets side in that game were Breece Hall over 3.5 receptions and Aaron Rodgers to throw an interception. They're who I thought they were. I mean, he had one pass over 16 yards, and that was Lazard on a free play.
Yep.
I don't know. You're giving him $50 million. It's supposed to be better than anything you've had there ever, right? This is supposed to be the best you've had since Joe Namath. And I think you're getting a broken 40-year-old guy who will hit a lot of layups, who will check into a lot of layups, and who doesn't have a great offensive line. And if teams are able to take away the run game like the Jets did, like the 49ers did, then the Jets will be even worse than I think they are. And the Jets, for me, were an 8-win team. So they play a tough schedule. I'm telling you what, right now, Tennessee, they're not going to give up. That game might be 8-5. They're going to Tennessee on a short week. You already heard the old man talking about it after. They did us no favors. Now we got to go to Tennessee, and then we play 4 days after that. Bro, you're supposedly signed up for 20 of these because allegedly you're going to the playoffs. You're not going to the playoffs. So I mean, they held the ball for 20 minutes. People tell me the Jets defense is great. When you want to run the ball on the Jets, you can run the ball on the Jets. Kyle Shanahan was going to run the ball no matter who the running back was, and he was going to run a lot of outside zone against Robert Saleh, who used to work for him and should know it better than anybody, and they had no answers for it. So, no, I don't buy the Jets. I think the Jets were exposed on a lot of levels. You can go back to week 1 of the 2022 season. Aaron Rodgers threw the ball 10 times to his running backs in that game. It was a sign of what was to come. His air yards per attempt that final season he played in Green Bay went from 8.8 to 6.8. His interception rate tripled. His touchdown rate plummeted. His percentage of balls within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage was the highest of his career, while the air yards were the lowest since 2010. That's who he was. That's what they bought. There's no miracle. There's no fountain of youth. Going to the Jets where everybody's a loser wasn't going to bring out the best in him or them. Nathaniel Hackett's a bobo. I could go on. I mean, I could go on. They were giving you plus 150 early in the summer and the spring. When the schedule came out, they're giving you plus 170 on some shops on the Jets to miss the playoffs. They always miss the playoffs. This dude ain't playing 17 games. Hey, Carl, how about a guy who didn't show up for minicamp? A guy who they kept in bubble wrap all year long. Why was he not in the game late trying to knock the rust off? You only had the ball for 20 minutes in that game. He didn't have enough possession. Garrett Wilson's still out there. Breece Hall's still out there. But Tyrod Taylor's in the game? Whose call was that? Was it head coach Aaron Rodgers?
No, it was Aaron Rodgers. Yes.
Well,
yes.
Good luck. Good luck with all that. Good luck with all that. I'm just telling you, Tennessee for me is very a lot. Go look how Tennessee ran the ball. That's Bill Callahan. That is a tried and true, like Kyle Shanahan, tried and true run program. Look how Tennessee ran the ball all over Matt Eberflus. And look what the Jets couldn't do. And that's an already tired Jets defense that was on the field for 40-plus minutes. If they don't let Will Levis blow this game, I'm telling you, that Tennessee defense will smother. They gave up 140 yards, Carl. Everybody told me all summer long that Chicago's great. Look at all these pieces. Oh, my God. That's one of the best skill positions. They had 140 yards. They had no offensive touchdowns. Sorry, Jets fans.
I'm with you. And the call to not be in the end of the game, he only threw for 167 yards last night. And the call to not be in the game at the end is perplexing. Totally Aaron Rodgers call. Let's not get it twisted. Nobody has to tell Jason and I that. But
he wanted to play, he would play.
Correct.
If he wanted to be out there, he'd be out there. Hey, I got to send a message to this team that this is my team, and we don't give up. And even though it's garbage time, I've damn near played no football with them the 2 years I've been here. So I'm going to go march us down the field and at least get us something to feel good about. No, that was Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah. I'll say this. The Jets, there was allegedly, already some dysfunction within the organization before the season started. The only way you get away from that stuff is to win. And to your point, this next week is going to be interesting. Listen, Will Levis did blow the game for the Titans last week. They should have beat the Bears, hands down. And those two bad picks he threw were killer. But the Jets are only being talked about, and we know this, is because Aaron Rodgers and, people think it's going to be something that is going to be worth watching. Last night, the other thing I saw, by the way, and we'll move on here and talk about these rookie quarterbacks, Jason, but that offensive line, I don't know if it's any better, by the way. I don't know if it's any better than what we've said over the last 2 years. And I know Tyron Smith is there. We said this. He's old, long in the tooth. I think that's going to be a fundamental problem for the Jets as they move through the season. It's in the huddle, guys. Talking about rookie quarterbacks real quick. Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels. And I say Anthony Richardson. He didn't play but 4 games last year, so it's his rookie year.
2.5 games.
Exactly. Bo Nix. All these guys.
Because a lot of those games were half games. You could say he played 4 games. He really played the equivalent of like 2 games plus a quarter or 2.
Absolutely. And, everybody's showing the pass that he made down the field. He's got enormous talent. There's no doubt. But I'll say this. What did you make of the rookie quarterbacks? You brought up Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I said this to you guys last week. Caleb said, I'm not nervous. I'm never nervous. Okay. When you saw that pass rush in your face, you looked a little nervous to me. He was not as good as I thought he was going to be. 14 of 29, 93 yards. He rushed for 15 yards. Bears do win. I get it. But this is what we talk about, Jason, with these rookie quarterbacks. There is a transition. I don't know how good he'll be. I don't know if he'll be a future Hall of Famer. But at the end of the day, he looked like a rookie like all these other guys did.
Yeah. No, it was tough sledding for him. And again, he did play a little bit in the preseason. He's supposed to have all the creature comforts with, all the skill guys they signed that everybody was gushing about, on top of the core they already had. So no, that was pretty ugly, but I'm just telling you, Tennessee's defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson, is a head coach. He's a head coach. He's just not a head coach yet. I think we're going to look back on that and say that was a little tougher of a debut spot than maybe it looked like on paper. Jaden Daniels, you saw the legs. You saw him do some really interesting things. He's got nothing around him in Washington. It's a bad football team. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that one because I'm not a Cliff Kingsbury guy. Like, I just think he's fugazi. And, like, the second rushing touchdown, like, I get what they're doing there. Like, I get that you're padding numbers. Like, and you're trying to build a little confidence. But with him being built the way he is, I think they need to be judicious about, how they deploy him on the ground. He's going to make a lot of big plays. I think he'll be the, a winning quarterback for them, which they haven't had for a long time, but they need him to stay upright. Bo Nix is not a starting quarterback in this league. Bo Nix is nowhere near being ready to be a starting quarterback in this league. That's a tough assignment going to Seattle against Mike McDonald's defense. But I thought the hype on him in the preseason people got way over their skis. I mean, I'm doing betting segments and they're saying, what do you think about Bo Nix's odds for rookie of the year? Like all the line movement there. I'm like,
it's a little stretch
while it's on fire every day. Like, if I don't care what odds you give me to bet Bo Nix to be rookie of the year. I'm not betting it because Bo Nix is not an NFL starting quarterback. So, that's tough. They got Pittsburgh coming to them this week. Good luck. Mike T's defense packs a lunch on the road. I would have liked to see more out of Caleb. Like, I would have liked to see a little more out of Caleb.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson, I'm an Anthony Richardson truther. So, like, he did 3 or 4 things in that game that, I don't know, maybe a guy or two on the planet could also do. He is inconsistent. Like, he just hasn't played. He barely played in college, but the ability to hit those high notes, when you need it most, to hit those high notes at pivotal points in the game, to keep you in the game, that's special stuff. So I'm really enthused about what he could be, and I like the Colts to make the playoffs. The fact that they lost by 2 to Houston week 1, and Richardson did some special stuff, that doesn't scare me off it. Now the Colts got to stop the run a little bit. Joe Mixon looking like Earl Campbell. I didn't think the Colts are a good defense. Like, I don't love their run defense. I thought it'd be better than that. Like, it has to be a little better than that. But I look, if I'm in that Indianapolis building this week, I'm feeling pretty good about our ability to compete with anybody. You're not going to win them all with a young quarterback, but I think they'll be in the games like they were last year.
Well, I thought he was the most intriguing quarterback when he came out, and everybody said he wasn't ready, just from his physical traits. And you see that he can be special. There's no doubt. I totally agree with you. Now, he's got to learn to protect himself again. He's got a little Josh Allen in him where he wants to just kind of run through guys and run over guys, but he's got to protect himself. But I'm with you. I'll say this, a follow-up to your rookie years. We're talking about the quarterbacks, guys, and the rookie debuts. C.J. Stroud is a real deal. No fall off.
Oh.
Like you end last season the way you ended, and everybody goes, oh, is he going to be able to come back? Sophomore slump. No. Kid knows what he's doing. He knows where he wants to go with the ball. He threw it 32 times. I mean, you said it, 2 touchdowns for Diggs. I just thought, again, Stroud looks like what we expected coming off of his rookie season. So whatever you thought about him, continue to think it, because I don't feel like there's going to be a drop-off with his performance.
And Bobby Slowick got a lot of praise last year, their coordinator, play caller, for good reason. But the one thing that he wasn't able to really implement last year was the 49ers run game. And they start running those stretch plays. And they run stretch plays when they get a little heavy, like with heavy personnel. And you add that to the mix when you already have this elite play action thing with C.J. Stroud. Like, if they can stay efficient and consistent in the run game, like, that's something that Stroud didn't have last year. So that's just going to put it even further over the top.
It's In the Huddle, guys. Jason Canfora, Carl Dukes. Follow us. Stay up on everything that's going on in the NFL. Kind of recapping what went down in week 1. Thursday, we'll start to look ahead, obviously, to the Thursday night game and all the games coming up on Sunday. All right, Jason, let's talk about a couple of other things. What about rookie coaches, the debuts? Harbaugh, Raheem Morris. Now, some of these guys obviously have NFL experience. We know that. But new teams, new situations. Brian Callahan, you talked about the Titans. Dan Quinn. Gerard Mayo gets a win, which was a surprise for me, how well that defense played. And, I'll say maybe Gerard Mayo knows something we don't know. But overall, what did you think about the rookie coaches and their debuts? Or the new coaches?
Well, I thought it's interesting because we're in a league where the trend has been, I'm looking for Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay wannabes, right? I want facsimiles of those guys. Like, that's been the archetype. That's been the profile. That's frankly part of the reason, right, that these owners don't want to hire coaches of color. They don't want to hire coaches on the defensive side of the ball because, well, that's not what Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan are, and LaFleur and now Zach Taylor and all this. So what really interested me was Mayo and McDonald, who are pure rookie head coaches, unlike Harbaugh and Raheem, who've done it before. And the way that their teams seem to immediately embody and inhabit what they believe in, to see it show up immediately week 1, where there was a lot of teams in this league that were not ready to play, and to see how much they already want to run through walls for their defensive-minded head coach. I found it very interesting. I didn't think that Gerard Mayo could run Ramondre Stevenson 30 times and win. Like, I thought he had to run him 30 times because I don't think they can pass the ball. Jacoby Brissett had 125 yards passing. But, could they do that and beat Joe Burrow in Cincinnati by doing it? And it turned out that defense was so ready to play that they could, despite Christian Barmore being out and despite them trading their best player, Matt Judon, 2 weeks before the season started. So, look, I don't know that might not end up being their high water mark. Like, that might be their Super Bowl, but it happened. It happened in week 1. It's going to instill some confidence. Now they got to win at home, which was a real problem for Bill Belichick the last 2 years. So we'll see what that looks like. And Seattle, I mean, look, I know you're going against Bo Nix, but it is Sean Payton on that sideline too. And you have a fluky game where you're behind early, 2 safeties. Broncos scored 2 safeties in the first half, and it still ends up being a blowout win for Seattle. That defense is legit. Yeah, they let a garbage time touchdown in late, but really they suffocated the Broncos, despite the Broncos having field position advantages because of the safeties, because of some other fluky stuff. Like, that Mike Macdonald defense is legitimate, and he's got legitimate playmakers in Seattle, and they're going to run the ball on you. And the offensive line is good, and Kenneth Walker is good. Like, it's interesting, right? Like, they're those guys are playing each other this week. One of those guys is going to be 2-0. Like, one of those guys is going to be walking in that locker room and people are already like, damn, culture change. It's happened. Like, it's not a buzzword. It's real. As for the experienced coaches who were back, Baldy was big on the Chargers. I was big on the Chargers. Like, I'm just telling you, Jim Harbaugh and that group of coaches over there know how to manage games. Like, this wasn't about showing off what we can do with Justin Herbert. It wasn't about proving people wrong. It was just staying true to themselves. That was a rock fight through 3 quarters, but they just kept running the ball because they knew with our style of play, the levee will break. And J.K. Dobbins is going to dominate this football game. And we're going to outpower the Raiders at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And they did it. And I had a lot of people through the summer telling me, dirty little secret is the Chargers defense is better than the offense now. Like, because Herbert missed all that time in training camp, like, the defense is legit. Like, they know what they're doing with Bosa and Mack and Derwin James. Like, it's not a bunch of bobos over there trying to prove how smart they are. Like, the defense is good. And they're going to go to Carolina this week, and I feel sorry for everybody in Carolina. Like, Dave Canales, like, dude, Carolina might be worse than last year. I know it's only 1 game, but I'm just saying, like, could Dave Canales be a one and done? Like, could he? Could he? Because it's Tepper. We're talking about Tepper. Like, look out for Harbaugh and the Chargers. If they want to unleash Herbert, they can, but they just want to keep Herbert upright. They're playing the long game. Harbaugh knows how to manage football games no matter which way they're going to prevail in the end. This is a great teaching point for him. We're playing a terrible team. We're traveling across the country. This would be, right, the ultimate look ahead, look down, don't show up spot. I bet they're up 21 points at the half. I'm just telling you, the Chargers are a completely different football team. They are going to road grade you, and they are going to win with defense, and they are going to win with the run game. And that stuff travels.
It's what Harbaugh has done his entire career, right? I mean, he did inherit
and Dave Canales is in a lot of trouble.
Well, Carolina looked terrible. And you know, for Bryce to throw his first ball and it's a pick, I mean, that's not a good look. But Harbaugh's done this his entire career. Even when he was in San Francisco and he inherited, you know, really good players when Mike Singleton was there, but he turned that around and knew what to do with it and then made the adjustments at quarterback, etc. I just feel like you look at his Michigan teams, right? And everybody wants to talk about the cheating and all that shit. Here's the deal. He went out and got the best offensive and defensive lines, and then they went and won a national championship. He did it in college, and right now, to your point, he's doing it again in the NFL, and he knows what he's doing. I agree. Like, of all of these guys, including Raheem Morris, you know, who's been a coach in Tampa and gone to 2 Super Bowls and all this stuff, I just feel like Harbaugh is probably in the best place to win immediately, maybe, and have an impact. But the Mike Macdonald thing is great, man. I'm with you. I watched that Seattle game. I totally agree. It was entertaining. Sometimes, and here's the point about this. Everybody tripped out about Seattle moving on from Pete Carroll. It's not that Pete Carroll couldn't coach anymore, but sometimes you need new, fresh. You need new relationship energy. I call it NRE. You need that. And he brought that. I mean, he's bringing that. He knows what he's doing defensively. And by the way, we knew this, Jason. Mike Macdonald was high on a bunch of teams' list to hire. This dude was like, he probably could have had 3 other jobs in the NFL if it worked out that way. So I love what I saw with Seattle. We'll see what happens with Gerard Mayo. That may be the high point, as you mentioned, but it was impressive. It is in the huddle, guys. Let's continue our conversation talking about week 1. Couple of things. Dak gets his deal. I did not think this was going to happen. I don't know why the hell Jerry didn't do this earlier. I mean, like, You wait right before the start of the season. It was this stupid, right? 4 years, we knew what the money was going to be. We knew what it looked like. I think it's fair for the Cowboys. I think it's a good deal for Dak, obviously, and he gets his average up to $60 million. Great. But what the hell was he waiting on? Why does Jerry wait till the last minute? Was this about him?
It's asinine. Like, if he was willing to go here, he could have done this months ago, which would have re-emboldened Dak, right? He could have wrapped his arms around Dak. He could have said, look, I'm not an idiot. I've been doing this a long time. Tua's going to get a bag. Lawrence is going to get a bag. Those guys they haven't done what my guy's done. So, look, if he talked to smart people in the league, I wrote about this a long while back at the Washington Post. By waiting, 60 was the magic number. And Dak not only got his 60 and not only got his guarantees, but he only had to do it for 4 years, right? The fact that he had the no franchise tag and no trade in his contract, he always had all the going back to last restructure. So for him to win on all those fronts, and now he's going back to the table 18 months, 20 months from now. Like, he's going back to the table if he keeps doing what he's doing and the market keeps going where it's going, and it will.
Yeah.
He's back after the 2025 season saying, how you like me now? Like, you want look at my cap numbers, boss. What are we going to do? We got to still get other players. How are we going to figure it out? Like, the 4 years is key. Like,
yeah.
He gained nothing. And instead of this being something that was a feel-good story, it was an afterthought right before the season. It looked like he did it begrudgingly because he did it begrudgingly. But finally, he realized I'm boxed in. So am I going to start over at age 85 or whatever, 84, whatever he is, with a new quarterback next year? Or am I going to give this guy what I have to give him now? But, like, doing it almost under duress, doing it after the quarterback ruminated all summer long about what it might like to be to play somewhere else. And, hey, Tom Brady had to leave, and, hey, Johnny Unitas was a Charger. Like, why did it ever get to that? Like your little Trey Lance experiment was absolute buffoonery. Like, if you thought that was getting you leverage or you were going to develop the next guy up and that's who you picked, if that was your bargain shopping, you're a fool. He's not even a backup in this league. Like, and they won the game, Carl, but, like, they had 265 yards of offense. Like, don't just look at that score and be like, ooh, the Cowboys. They're same old, 30 a game. They got a return touchdown. They got a whole bunch of 50 and 55-yard field goals. Like, they couldn't do anything with great field position. They played Deshaun Watson, who has no interest in being an NFL starting quarterback anymore. Like, that's why they won. But, like, I didn't come away thinking, oh, yeah, Dallas is legit. Dallas can't run the ball. Like, whatever, man. They got an early touchdown, and that turned out to be all they needed because Cleveland's that bad offensively. But, yeah, the Cowboys aren't going anywhere. Like,
yeah, the 6 sacks. The 6
going
sacks.
crazy about Michael Parsons again. Cleveland's offensive line was a joke.
It is. Yeah. 6 sacks on Deshaun Watson. He threw 2 picks. His passer rating was crap. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson since we're here. There is a new civil lawsuit that was filed in Houston on Monday that claims that Deshaun Watson sexually assaulted a woman back in October of 2020. Now, I thought all this was behind him, okay? He obviously, paid some of these women that had filed cases against him. We know the NFL punished him and he missed games. But Jason, with the way he's playing right now, the money that's committed, and if this new accusation turns out to be true, again, Jane Doe, it's a court filing, so we don't know who she is, but she states what happened, which was they were supposed to meet at a restaurant. They end up meeting at her place. Instead, she wanted to meet somewhere, outside of a restaurant. Deshaun's there. Allegedly, she comes out of the bathroom or wherever she was. He's naked, face down on the bed, asks for a back rub. It's the same MO that we heard with all of these other women. And again, we do not know if any of this is true. This is all alleged, but this is what's in front of him. The NFL is aware. So I just get back to the field. You just said you feel like he has no interest in being an NFL quarterback right now. Now, he did come out and said he lost his dad. And obviously he lost a teammate at Clemson who died last week. But Watson is 28 years old. And I'm just wondering, like, how much more does this affect him? We know this affected him a few years ago when he had to sit and he was away from football. I don't know if this gets any better for him. He looked like hot garbage on Sunday on the field. I do not know about this stuff. We'll see where this goes with the court of law. But Jason, I'm not impressed, and I think the Browns at a situation, they're at a crossroads right now with this quarterback thing, man. I really believe that.
It's the most ironclad contract in NFL history. So, like, unless his off-field actions give them recourse to terminate some things due to him violating the personal conduct policy, et cetera, they're stuck with him. And, you know, when will the billionaire who was behind it all, Jimmy Haslam, admit that enough's enough and I screwed this up and I'm just going to have to, you know, either find a way to get out of this or eat $150 million over the next 3 years and have him be the highest paid backup in the history of professional sports. Like, no one's taking it off their hands. The football people in that building know. And I've talked to a lot of people about this situation. And Jameis Winston would give them a better chance to win. Like he just would. Carl, Joe Flacco played 5 games there. He averaged 323 yards a game. Deshaun Watson has played 13 games there. He averages 184 passing yards. Like Joe Flacco in those 5 games completed 27 passes of 25 yards or more. Deshaun Watson's completed 26 in 13 games. Like it's the same people. The only thing that changed was the quarterback. Like the Browns have 23 offensive touchdowns in 13 games with Deshaun Watson. They had 17 in 5 with Flacco. Like people are not idiots in that building. They know what's holding them back. Other people in the league, again, don't think Deshaun Watson really wants to be there. He's there because of the money. And, you know, he doesn't look like the guy he did in Houston.
No.
That was shameful on Sunday. Like, and again, I don't know what the man is dealing with, but I mean, he was 15-30 in the tag. He doesn't want to push the ball downfield. He's not interested in making big plays.
He's timid. He's playing timid.
A lot of medicine balls that could get other people hurt. Like it's you know, and everybody there is blaming a bunch of backup offensive linemen. Like, what did you expect? That's why you're paying an experienced quarterback $50 million a year, fully guaranteed, to help you at least out by 5 minutes into the second quarter. You know what I mean? Like, hey, dude, you're going to have to figure some things out. You're going to have to win at the line. You're going to have to win at your brain. You're going to have to check into some things. Like, you're going to have to play this game smart so we're at least hang around in it into the third quarter. Like, it's a joke, man. It's a joke, and the Browns aren't going anywhere. Like, as great as that defense is, and again, 264 net yards they allowed to the Dallas Cowboys and still got blown out. I mean, 15 touchdown passes to 11 interceptions in 13 games. And the real kick in the nuts for Browns fans is Baker Mayfield is now one of the more stable, better quarterbacks in the NFL. And you traded him for what, a conditional 5, right?
Yeah.
The guy who the Texans moved on to, CJ Stroud, is on, I mean, it's early, but let's just be real. If he keeps this up, he's on a Hall of Fame track. Right? And you got people, smart football people in your building than Deshaun Watson for $230 million fully guaranteed. That's what Jimmy Haslam did to your franchise, folks. And don't blame anybody else. Jimmy Haslam threw money at this. Is he a criminal? Is he not a criminal? Whatever. This credibly accused multiple times sexual assault. He's accused multiple times of sexual assault. While you didn't know what he did, while you didn't know what the penalties he was going to face were going to be, while you didn't know whether he was going to go to jail or not, you kept throwing money at him till he finally came to Cleveland, where he wanted no part of until you gave him no choice. Okay? That's what he doesn't know anything about building a franchise. He doesn't know anything about winning at anything other than, I guess, business. Although Google Pilot Flying J, you won't like a lot of what you read. So, like, that's who runs that franchise. I'm sorry, Browns fans. I'm sorry.
It's in the huddle, guys. It is a mess. That is a great example with Baker, who looked really good. I don't know where it goes, but to your point, when they signed this deal, they were aware that he was facing these charges, and they did it anyway. And that is what was at the time. We're going back 4 years now, guys. We knew they knew what was on the table, and they still said, we're going to. And remember, this is what's crazy, Jason. They structured the contract so he didn't lose a lot of money in that first year. Do you remember that? I mean, that's the way that they structured the deal, should I say,
They protected him. They protected him.
Yes.
Carl, this is a guy who wanted to play football so much, he sat out a year in Houston for $12 million, right? Remember, people didn't talk about that. The whole, I don't want to be here, I don't want to play for this coach. He stayed away, got paid $12 million for the Texans, who squatted on him for a year because they're like, we're going to eventually get a whole lot for this. 3 first-round picks.
3. And look at the difference now. Look at where that team is. It's in the huddle, guys. We got to talk about the Steelers quarterback situation, and then I want to add the Falcons situation because Kirk Cousins does not look 100%. Is Justin Fields now the starter in Pittsburgh?
I think he will be for this week, Carl. Just listening to the way Mike Tomlin spoke after that game, he did not lean into, Russ is definitely our guy if he's healthy. And I think when they go back and watch that film as they have, and they look at who they're playing this week, like Justin Fields checked the boxes he needed to check. Other than, you would have liked more offensive touchdowns. But only took 2 sacks, didn't make negative plays, didn't turn the ball over, unlocked Carl Pickens downfield, kept them in the run plays they needed to be in. And Jalen Warren's nowhere close to being right. As Jalen Warren works back and you start seeing Fields and Jalen Warren playing option football, it's going to create another element for them. An explosive run plays, just not volume run plays. I'd be really surprised if they made the switch. Yes, Denver's a tough place to play. Yes, it's a road game. But that's who the Pittsburgh Steelers are. That's who they need to be. That's how they win. And they kept the defense on the sidelines. The defense didn't have to play snap after snap after snap after snap. So I'd be surprised if he reverted back to Russ, because Russ' job, not because he did the sun, but what he did in Seattle. And you now have one game of Justin Fields that really matters where he helped you win, like didn't hurt you. So my guess is Fields.
Yeah, he did a really good job of managing the game. The deal with Kirk Cousins is all offseason we were told he's healthy, he will be ready, he's 100%. And he simply didn't look like it. He didn't look like he could throw, step into throws. He didn't look like he was seeing the field well. I don't know if it was rust or nervousness, but a lot of people here are assuming that he's not 100%. Raheem Morris yesterday said his health had no correlation to the play calling. Jason, the plays that they called and the formations they were in really limited him and his mobility and his movement. You can't run play action in the shotgun the entire game. You can't run RPO because he has no, threat to run. He's no threat to run. It was really weird. The pistol pretty much the entire game. And so we are now wondering what the hell is up with Kirk Cousins. And here's the reality. If, in fact, he's not 100%, and the reason they didn't prepare Michael Penix Jr. is because what if Penix went out there and balled out, and you've paid Kirk this money, even though you drafted Penix, immediately the fan base is saying, well, shit, leave Penix out there. So to negate all of that, we're not starting him, even if Kirk Cousins isn't 100%. And that is the fundamental problem. So we don't know for sure. Nobody's telling us. But, Jason, we know enough people around the league. I think this is a problem right now for the Falcons. And, his mobility, they got the Eagles on Monday night. I mean, good luck with that.
Talking to people who were at that game, scouting that game, they didn't think Kirk Cousins looked like he should be out there. And really, the way one guy put it to me from the Pittsburgh organization was like, if there was any chance that it looked that bad, and that's obviously how it had to be looking in practice, then this is a guy who needed to be out there in the third preseason. Like, you needed to get a look at this in the preseason at least a little bit. If it's rust, if it's him not trusting it, you can't go in and face Mike Tomlin's defense week 1, and you know what I mean, and have and put that out there. So, like, and if it was so bad that you didn't want to even see it in preseason, week one, and you probably needed to go with somebody else heavy and win the game that way. No, Kirk Cousins is better than that. And Kirk Cousins is going to have to work his way through this thing. To your point, I just don't think 6 days is enough. Like, I don't think we're going to see a market improvement in week 2. And yeah, that'll be a tough ask against the Eagles. Like, I don't think Kirk Cousins is all of a sudden, though, a below functional quarterback. I just think he medically, health wise, trusting the foot wise, the ankle, all that stuff, you can't convince me it was there. Like it didn't look there to me. It didn't look there to the Steelers.
Yeah, I agree. One last thing before we get out of here. Everybody is still kind of processing and reeling from the newly released body cam footage of the situation that happened down in Miami with Tyreek Hill. And, for me, obviously, life is about your experiences. Life is about what you have experienced. And for me, that just looked all too familiar, and it doesn't matter how much money you have or who the hell you are. So I know that Tyreek Hill and people are saying, he should have done exactly what the officers asked him to do. Again, I just feel like this, one officer's already been suspended. I'm assuming more will be. There's an investigation going on. After watching the body footage, though, Jason, it was just, we've been here. We've seen this. You and I are both old enough to know, this is something that, especially, from an athletic standpoint and being, covering sports, this is something we've seen, and it's unfortunate, but there's so much we could say here, and there's so many places we could go, but I just want to address it because I know our audience, you're watching, and you're going, you guys aren't going to talk about this. We don't know if, I know he's retained counsel. I'm talking about Tyreek Hill, and we'll see what happens with that, whether he, ends up suing or whatever is going to happen, with that and the liability part of it. I just feel like it was so unfortunate because it shouldn't have escalated to that situation. It just shouldn't. And especially, here's the thing. This is the part that really pissed me off. If you, and this has happened to me, where the lights are going off and you're like, okay, I'm going to put my hazards on. I'm going to get to somewhere where I feel safe so I can at least, be seen, maybe a parking lot of a grocery store or whatever. I'm not going to stop on some damn back road. His teammates stopped, Jason. His teammates are like, yo, what can we do? Calais Campbell's one of the best guys in the league. He's the Walter Payton Man of the Year in 2019. He's stopping and like, hey, what's going on? And these cops were still like tripping. And that part of it, it's rare when you have somebody come to your aid that knows who you are, knows what this is about, even though maybe they couldn't have de-escalated it. That part of it was like, the way they treated Jonnu Smith, if you didn't see the video, get back in your freaking car. It's like, whoa. I thought it was completely unnecessary, and I just wanted to address it because we know this is something that people are talking about, Jason.
Carl, I can't speak to that situation the way you can, and I'm not going to try to. All I would say is if that can happen there, right, with a multiple-time Walter Payton Man of the Year by Tyreek Hill's side, and if that can happen that close to a stadium on week 1 with 50, 60,000 people on their way in, like if that can happen there, then I think any logical mind would say clearly that can and does happen, unfortunately, in this country, anywhere.
Fair enough. Jason, great job as always, man. We are back on Thursday. We're looking ahead. Baldy will be here. We'll get some breakdowns from him. There were some amazing performances in week 1. And guys, maybe you weren't expecting. We'll talk about the matchups on Thursday and obviously moving forward Sunday night, Monday next week. Make sure you're here, guys. Subscribe, like us. It's In the Huddle Pod on YouTube. We appreciate you being here. Make sure you check us out. Everybody have a great day.